Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. My name is Priscilla Chicariro. If this is your first time here, welcome. This is the story of my marriage. Please go back and start from chapter 1, part 1, which I've linked in the description box if this is your first time here. If it's not, well, this is the end. Well, it's not the end, but it is the final chapter of this particular story and what I am able to share with you. I wanted to thank everybody that has been watching and commenting and sharing, and all those people that have written to me about their experiences and what impact listening to my stories have had on them. It's had a similar impact on me. At the beginning of this journey, telling this story, I was very anxious, I was very nervous, and I wasn't sure what the response was going to be from people. It is a story that had been buried in me, that I had been carrying around with me for such a long time. It weighed on me so heavily. But at the same time, you never feel like you are going to be understood or sympathized with, but my new support group made me feel as though I wasn't strange for feeling the way that I was feeling, and gave me strength to actually continue to heal. And I read somewhere this week that healing begins when one bears witness to what has happened to you and believes you. And that is how I feel. I feel like you've all borne witness to what happened to me and listened to me, which is all I wanted, to be heard. So without further ado, chapter 5 begins and concludes today. Thank you so much for watching. One can never be fully prepared for moments in their lives which are going to be of great impact, or which are going to be so significant they change you completely and they open your eyes and you completely start to see the world in a very different way. This was what happened to me on that day, July 28th, 2022. I stood there in front of these agents and I looked at them, waiting for them to tell me why they had come. Then they began their story. They told me that they had come because of my ex. This did nothing to make me feel any better. If anything, I started to feel worse, like, okay, what now? What's going on? And I immediately thought, oh my gosh, he has my children. What's happened to my children? And I think they saw this because they told me immediately that no, my children were safe. And in fact, they had my children. And I could go and pick up my children after they had finished talking to me. This scared me. So I asked them what happened. Then they told me that they had arrested him. I asked for what? And they said to me they had arrested him on murder for hire charges. I didn't understand what that meant, so I asked them to explain. And they said to me that he had hired a hitman to kill me. I cannot even begin to explain how I felt in that moment. All I remember was this feeling of, I don't know, I don't even know how to explain it. It was almost like I stopped feeling anything. I think I started crying because they said to me, it's okay, I could cry. But I could feel the tears on my face, but I was so confused. I could not digest it. I could not understand it. It was refusing to sink in. Like, I could not put the two together, that my ex, this hitman, and me, all in one sentence. It made no sense to me. Because this is an ongoing case, I am not able to share all the details of what they spoke to me about, but I have linked the article to this particular arrest in the description box below for you to read the details that are known to the public. We spoke for about an hour. At the end of the hour, I sort of went right back into survival mode, I would say. My only thought was picking up my children, bringing them home, and starting once again to try to figure out what I was going to do. But to begin with, I still had to cancel everything that I had planned for that day. I had booked a U-Haul so that I could move. I called and I canceled that. I had asked some friends to come and help me as well to move. I had to cancel that. And then I had to drive. I drove with a friend an hour and a half to go and pick up my children. My son was completely distraught. He had had an argument, a disagreement with his dad the night before, and he hadn't said goodnight to him. He had refused to say goodnight and had gone to bed and had just woken up in the morning and his dad was gone. They had picked him up early in the morning, just before they had, well, I think just as they were getting to me, they were getting to him. So he hadn't seen him. He had no time to apologize or to say anything. When I saw him, he burst out crying and he was like, no, I didn't get a chance to say I was sorry. I didn't get a chance to say goodbye. It was really hard for him. I called his therapist and made arrangements to see him that very same day. I didn't tell my children what had happened. I made up a reason for him being taken. The rest of the day, I completely was on autopilot. I think I was in shock because all I remember is, for those that drink alcohol, you know how you feel when you're like drunk, like you can't really tell what's going on, but you can, like, you know, you're going through the motions of normal life. You can talk and everything, but your head is a mess. That was me that day. He had his arraignment on the same day and I went to the court because I just couldn't believe it. Even though, like, I kept getting the same information and I was being told. When I picked up my children, I had another meeting with the agents and they told me what they could. And I think I kept asking them the same question, like, are you sure? Are you sure? Are you like 100% sure? Like, what's going on? But, obviously, you're innocent until proven guilty, and he has not been to trial yet. So that is something I will give another life update when it's possible. But I couldn't even believe that this was something that could even be an allegation. I couldn't believe that things had come to this. Of all the things in the world, I was so taken aback, because for the past 3 months, things had been so perfect, so stable. So like we were actually communicating and co-parenting so well. I didn't understand what had happened, why. My sister arrived on the same day. Thank God, because I really needed the support. She came and listened to me like I think, I don't know, I was in a state, to be honest. I must have just, we had wine and just talked the whole night, because I was so confused. I didn't understand how anybody could wish something like that on me, or could want to do something like that. And the impact on my children, so many things were going through my mind. I was just like, wow, how? Our plans to go to Florida and this wonderful holiday that we had planned, I had to put on hold for a couple of days, because I then immediately, this had such a huge impact on my entire life. Number one, my children's lives, and everything that I had planned for the months going forward. I had to now start fixing everything from the perspective of a single parent. I had sole custody now of my children, and I had to arrange everything. Everything was now on me. Dealing with the trauma of what I had just heard, and I had to keep it together, because I had these two people that relied on me, and it was just me now. So I did what I had to do. I delayed the trip by a week, but by the end of that week, I realized that the best thing for us would be to leave and to go on holiday, so that I would be away from here, because I got so paranoid. I started seeing things. And what was the worst is, it's very different when a person attacks you directly. Like, once they're taken away, that threat and that fear goes away with them. It's done. But in this case, it was going to be a stranger, and I didn't know who. So I felt so unsafe. I kept looking over my shoulder. I was like watching for cars following me. I was like afraid to get out of my house and walk down the street. I got so paranoid. At the end, I was just like, no, this is just not okay. Let me get out of town, go take a break, take a breather, try to settle. So we left, we went. It was the best decision ever. My children had an amazing time. I had the time to sort of deal with everything and get to a stage where I was now able to function, to actually understand that this had happened, and that I needed to now do take certain steps in order to move forward, and the impact that it would have on me going forward. We were away for the rest of August, and then we came back. School started. I had moved my kids to a school that was closer now to our home. So having the new schools was amazing, new friends. It was a whole change of environment because this apartment was also new. So in a way, this happened at the right time for my children, because we were now in a completely different environment, an environment that helped them to make new attachments and to settle and to start to move on with their lives. I, on the other hand, was just functioning. It's hard. It is so hard being the only one taking care of two children without a job, without any support, nothing. So on top of like the burden of being a single parent, having to be present physically and mentally 24 hours a day, at the same time dealing with this huge trauma myself, I was just like, I was functioning, but I think I wasn't functioning. And it started to take its toll. I tried to push forward and to keep going. But in September, I got an invitation to a show in New York for New York Fashion Week, and I really wanted to go. Like, I love fashion. I have always wanted to go to New York Fashion Week. So I was like to myself, you know what? Do this for yourself. Go and, enjoy yourself, meet people, just get out and do something for yourself. So I went to Fashion Week. I went to this show. When I arrived, I was like, I was good. And then I met some people, and people ask you your name, etc., like what you do and so on. The first person who asked me, I was like, before that, I'd been feeling comfortable, happy, everything. Then someone asked me my name and what I do. And my mind, like, I just got stuck. I literally could not tell them my name. I could not tell them what I did. Because like the first thing that came into my mind was like, oh my God, no, don't tell them your name because they're going to Google you. And then all of this stuff is going to come up. And then you're going to seem so weird, so etc. Like, I had this like new paranoia, this new burden. I could not tell anybody my name. I could not even let anybody know who I was. I was so afraid that people would find out all of these things that had happened. It really surprised me because it wasn't like me to miss opportunities. I completely wasted all the introductions that I was given. My entire purpose and reason for going there was to make connections, to help to build my own career, and I completely missed it because of this fear. When I got back home, that's when it just dawned on me, I had to do something. I couldn't live like that. I could not continue. I was not going to grow. I was not going to develop. And this thing that had happened to me was not my fault. I started to, I sat down, and like it wasn't even like a one-day process. It's taken me a long time to get to the place that I am today, but I'm not healed. I'm still on that journey, but I'm now in a place where I can look back as though it happened to someone else, and I can talk about it. And then when I started to actually analyze what this situation was doing to me, how it was eating at me, how it was literally basically killing me, in essence, giving this person who wanted to extinguish me what they wanted, I realized that, what was the point of it not having happened if I was doing it to myself? So I stopped right there. And I started changing things about myself. I started rebuilding myself one day at a time, changing things I did, motivating myself, and manifesting where I wanted to be and what I wanted to achieve. I was not going to give anybody the satisfaction of knowing that what they had tried to do to me, allegedly tried to do to me, had actually, in a way, been successful. In October, I started this channel, and my very first video, I was very nervous. I was scared. I didn't know. I didn't even quite understand why I had started the channel, but I felt like I needed to. And as time went on, with every next video that I posted, it became clearer to me why I had done it. And my first reason, when I was supposed to be killed on the 28th of July, the narrative about me that was online was completely controlled by somebody else. My ex articles, bad articles that had been written about me, little tidbits of information which didn't add up to a very clear picture of who I was. It dawned on me that had I actually died on that day, this version of me would forever be the only version that many people would know. And that included my children, because they would never remember. My son would not remember forever who I was, because he had so much trauma in his life. So many times when he was taken from me, he would not remember me. My daughter is small. She also would not remember me. And then they would be raised by the person who allegedly tried to murder me. And obviously, he would have nothing good to say about me to them. I will never feel safe, 100%. I will forever carry this with me. It will forever be a threat that hangs over my head. So I decided that I wanted to create this channel. I wanted to share what happened to me. I wanted me to be known. I wanted the me that I am to be known. For my children to have a place where they could come if anything ever happened to me, and I would be here. They would be able to listen to me. They would know my story from me, and they would be able to see things that I enjoyed doing and things that I love. And this is something that they will have forever. And I wanted to just show everybody, because a lot of people read articles and heard things, who I am, who I really am, and to hear it from me. And to know that this is just something that happened to me, but it is not me. I am a whole different person. And I never want to be defined by this story. I never want to be defined by someone trying to extinguish me, trying to destroy me. this is all that I'm able to share with you to date. But this Sunday, I will be starting a new series called Real Talk, where we will discuss and talk about the tools that I used to get where I am now, how I pulled myself from that deep depression and managed to start the process, my process of healing. There's a lot to unpack, and I feel like your interactions with me are what is contributing to my continued healing. Sharing for me has given me a lot. It's made me feel like I'm not alone. And hearing your stories has strengthened me as well. So I'd like to thank you all so much for coming along on this journey with me. And please stay. We have started something, and I hope that we can continue to share and grow and heal. And I will continue sharing every now and again updates on things that are happening, because at the moment I'm still in court with regards to my custody case. My ex is in prison at the moment awaiting his hearing. So once all of that is concluded, I will share. I'll do another little update. But in the meantime, we will start talking about stuff that is much more motivational, much happier, and grow and move on and focus on life, focus on being alive. The one thing that I have learned from this experience is tomorrow is not promised to anybody. So you have to live every single day that you have. You wake up tomorrow, look outside, and really live. That's the one good thing that I have gotten from that. Every single day, I try to make it count. I no longer go around or waste my time on things that don't help me grow, because I know that time is limited and you never know, it could end tomorrow. So I'm focused on achieving my goals, and my biggest goal has always been to be happy, to be genuinely happy. I think that's another reason why I am able to tell this story and not feel resentment towards my ex, because I realized that holding resentment and anger towards someone is a heavy burden on me. So I would be achieving nothing by hating him or anything that he's done. I have forgiven him. And if anything, I feel sorry for him. I feel like these have been wasted years which could have been used in a much more constructive fashion. in a like where we could have all grown, where we could have all found happiness elsewhere. But now he is where he is. And you have to think to yourself, what was the purpose of all this? What was the gain? What was the upside? Nothing. So for me, I am determined to live as loudly, as happily as I can. I no longer limit myself from fear of what people think. I no longer limit myself because I'm afraid to fail, because I realize that if I don't do it now, who knows what tomorrow is going to bring? I might not be here. So I might as well just do it. And if you think about it, what is life if you're not living? I'll see you guys on Sunday. And again, thank you so much for watching.